Is that a myth? Part 1. Good afternoon. So, real estate myths. I came across an article on Yahoo Finance, common real estate myths. I was very, very intrigued as to what these myths might be. Turns out there's a lot of them, and we're going to go over half of them today, half of them tomorrow, because I don't want you to lose interest. There's some on there I've never even heard of. So I thought it'd be fun. Let's get started here. I don't think I'm going to follow along too close. I just want you to see that there is an actual article. I wrote all the notes down ahead of time. So here we go. The first myth, looking at homes is the best first step. So the idea here is that you want to go look at homes first. That's the best way to buy a new home. Well, is that a myth? Yes. Does anyone really believe this? The best first step is getting a mortgage pre-approval or finding a solid buyer's agent to help guide you through the process. I have no doubt that that's the best way to get started in finding a home. Myth number 2, you don't need an agent to buy a home. Well, this is true. So it can't be a myth. I'm extremely biased. I think you should use a professional real estate agent for buying and selling your home. If I were selling my own home, I would use myself, but technically that would be a real estate agent. Can you get fleeced if you use an agent? Of course, but getting fleeced is not unique to having an agent either. Ask yourself if you want to deal with all the garbage that a real estate agent will be going through on your behalf. And if you think you want to do it, then go for it. I mean, go ahead and try it. Good luck. Number 3, the third myth, buying a new home means fewer repairs in the years to come. So this one to me is a bit subjective. How many years are we talking about before repairs are made? I saw a study once that said that at year 18 of a new home, everything pretty much needs to be replaced. HVAC, roof, remodeling, etc. Can that happen sooner? Of course. I think this one just depends on what you want to believe. New home buyers that I am aware of spend money on improvements to their home the minute they move in. It's not a repair, but it's also not expense free. I mean, the joy of owning a house is that you get to spend money on it all the time for all kinds of reasons. Next myth, you'll need 20% down payment plus closing costs. And this is a myth that I keep seeing, but to be honest, I haven't seen someone go with a 20% down mortgage in a long, long time. Usually I see 95% loan to value loans, sometimes as high as 97%. And I know a few places where someone can be at 100%. I think the issue here is the question of PMI, but that is also something that depends on the type of loan. So it used to be that if you had 20% down, you didn't have to pay PMI, which is private mortgage insurance. I don't even think that's true anymore, but definitely a myth that you'll have to have 20% down payment plus closing costs. That's true. So number 5, what is number 5? Let's get good. A down payment is the only upfront cost. So that's definitely a myth. Definitely. I agree with that one. Lots of costs up front on the purchase of a new home. Appraisals, inspections, surveys all occur before you actually close on the house. I always mention this to my buyers when we start getting serious about making offers to make sure that they have enough cash to be able to pay these upfront costs. I mean, if we're going to put down money for escrow, okay, then, you know, if you can't afford a latte at Starbucks because of that, we've got problems. So that's something that I do tell my buyers. The next myth, getting pre-approved will hurt your credit. Now, I don't believe that. I did have a mortgage lender tell me that one time, and I think he was just being lazy, to be honest with you. It says, if your credit would be hurt so much by a pre-approval for a mortgage, you have bigger issues than getting a pre-approval. I mean, I can certainly see this as an excuse not to get a pre-approval, but it just shows that the agent that you're not serious about buying a home, and they'd be better off spending time with clients who are. So if I say, hey, you come to me and say, this, I'd really like to buy a house. I say, yeah, that's great. Let's go and get a pre-approval. And you say, no, that's going to hurt my credit. Then I'm just going to go work with people who will get a pre-approval because I don't want to waste my time. Number seven, there's plenty of time for a pre-approval when you find the right house. That is definitely a myth, and it's not a good idea. Let's say you found the right house on a Sunday afternoon at 2 and offers are due by 5. You write an offer with no pre-approval, and the 12 other offers do have a pre-approval included with their offer. Are the sellers going to take you seriously? No. When you do this, you're basically sacrificing the house you want to make an offer on now for one down the road that you will have gotten a pre-approval for. So that's what usually happens. I want this house. You can't buy this house because you have pre-approval. It's not going to work. Then they're like, oh, well, I better get a pre-approval now. And that's, by that time, the house that they want is already gone. So that is a problem. Number 8, you should never offer full price. Now, this is a fascinating myth because it depends on the market. If your parents tell you that you shouldn't offer full price, that's from 20 years ago when there weren't multiple offers seemingly on every home. If you do have multiple offers, what are the odds that they would all be below asking? Not very high. You're basically wasting everyone's time when you write an offer below asking in a multiple offer situation. Now, if you aren't in that situation, why would you offer full asking price? Doesn't make any sense. But the negotiating stance is based on the individual home and the market, not just some blanket myth. Let's go to number 9. Buying a condo is just like buying a home. I don't think it is. For one, there are more rules typically with a condo purchase. Another thing is that if you do end up sacrificing some privacy when living with others, all of a sudden noise is an issue. If it's a myth based solely on the process of buying, then it's definitely very similar. I mean, if it's just about buying, then it's close. But it depends on how you look at it. I mean, that's kind of where I'm at on that one. Number 10, avoid buying a first floor condo. Well, I've never heard of this myth. Perhaps it's based on regional construction patterns. I have many older folks who are always looking for first floor condos because they want to be able to avoid steps wherever possible. I guess if you had an elevator, it wouldn't be an issue, but we have these, they're 3 stories, one in the middle, one at the top, one at the bottom. And my older clients are like, that's what they're looking for. They don't want a unit up on the 3rd floor. They'd have to carry their groceries up there. That's not a good idea at all. So I think that is a myth, but it could be true somewhere else. Myth: schools don't matter if you don't have kids. Well, I think this is definitely a myth. A strong school district will help your property values keep them stable. Can you find homes cheaper in areas where school districts are bad? Of course. And this is highly dependent on where you live as well. In St. Louis, the city school is separate from the school districts in the county. There are plenty of expensive homes in the city school district as they are in the county. So that's not really an issue. Perhaps it should be explained that strong schools are one component of many to consider when looking to buy a home in a particular area. That would be a better way to put it. Number 12. What is number 12? Buying is always a better financial deal than renting. I definitely think that is a myth. It's a myth because of the way the myth is written. Buying is not always a better financial deal than renting. It totally depends on your situation. So there are many home buyers that would be better off as renters because they can't seem to take care of a home on their own. I mean, I get stuck listing homes where people they would just be better off renting. Like they can't take care of the home. It's just not in their skill set. So number 13, single family homes are more affordable than multifamily dwellings. This was a tricky one. This argument is that if you lived in a duplex, for example, it might cost more at the time of purchase, but the ongoing cost would be lower because there are tenants to share in the mortgage payment. If you choose to look at it that way, the only way to truly compare would be to look at the premium paid for the duplex and then what a comparable single family home would cost and then make a determination. Even then, it's a question of preference. Do you want to be a landlord? So it's the way the question is framed, that's actually not a question. The way the statement is framed, that's what makes it fascinating. It just depends on the situation. In some ways, I think you know what I'm talking about. So number 14, you must sell your current home before buying a new one. Well, that's obviously a myth, obviously. But I do often tell my sellers that, especially in this market, you need to purchase something or have a place to go if you do decide to sell before you buy. I think that in this market, it would be irresponsible to tell someone that it's okay to sell before buying, because it can take months to actually get a home under contract without seriously overpaying. And I mean, on my board right now, I have 6 people that are buyers that will have to sell their property. And I've told all 6 of them, hey, let's find something first. It's really tough right now to find something. And then the last myth we're going to do today is your pre-approval amount will be the loan amount you're approved for. That's a myth. It could be true, but many buyers I know will often be pre-approved for less than what they could afford because they are more interested in setting payments where they are comfortable. The pre-approval is just the beginning of the financial puzzle when purchasing a home. It lays the groundwork for decisions made in the future. And so, this was the first 15. There are, I think, 15 or 16 more for tomorrow. And we'll go through them. I thought this was interesting because I don't always know. I don't always know where people are coming from when they call me. Now, if you've read this particular article, I mean, you've got a certain, and if you believe it, I mean, you've got a certain thought there. But some of these things are downright dangerous. The idea that you want to wait for 20% down, that could keep you out of a home for 5 or 10 years. Not necessary. Talk to a real estate agent. With that, I'm going to head out. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And I'll catch you on the next one.